so much, particularly with how many points they're able to put up. Today is really just about getting those consistent points going, and maybe they can turn up the heat again tomorrow morning.
Titan southeast side will have to move through the Infinity a little bit faster. Influence Chemin, good position on the church. Bigatron on board with them on the northeastern side, near to S2G. Not the easiest of opponents to deal with, especially for a team that hasn't really been, I would say, as loud, but Bigatron, they're keeping up in terms of points. You see, they're 21 to 22 for S2G.
Exactly. I mean, when you look at S2G, you see a highly aggressive team that, you know, you would expect to be towards the top of the tables, in which case you watch their engagement, you're like, wow, they can take it with anyone, but at the same time, they are quite careless sometimes with these engagements. I think for BTR, being here with 21 points, 22 for S2G, is a really good performance coming through from them. And again, it's that motivation that maybe LaFlame was talking about, coming back into this one with a bit of a fire in their belly, which was much required for them. So be happy to see this continue.
Spray's not quite landing over onto Trisme. Box going to be looking to try and get back to the force that they can muster on both of their players. Only two of the remaining. Of course, from that early engagement that we were on board with against Team Queso. Tizzy on the outside will be finally found. Tizzy eliminated, 14th place.
Not a good spot to be in. Titans, though, able to get all players back up and running, and we saw them in quite a difficult scenario for themselves versus DRS, but somehow managed to get back on their feet and now moving as a unit towards the Infinity, who will have to receive this newsy still in the vehicle, maybe a little bit late to the party, and Logan trying to support from the back, but it's not enough.
Feeding that information over to the rest of the team. 4 players pushing up eastern side of the hill. They can fall away, they don't have to go aggressive, but Logan might be the sacrifice for it. Went for those sprays, gets the heal off, but not playing in the next circle just yet. Lord spotted, that's a big green gun in the gold. And Orm is in play for Federello. Was that Federello? I think it might have been from Influence Chemin. That's kind of crazy for the position that they're in. We'll be looking out for that a little bit more. He's over towards Aegon XI8. He's not going well for them.
Trying to reset this fight, but for IA, I think it's all over for them at the moment. Right information from the Nox players, but just Blade remaining, and I don't think he has much of a position to play from. Prestige looking to finish him off, trying to go for the res here, but that nade should be on target.
Out the front, and actually, that one's going to land just about missing on the second one.
Posted through the window, it should be a fairly easy push here. And the nade, yeah, that'll do it. R8, take down I8.
Difficulty aplenty there. In the meantime, Influence Chemin moved over towards to pick up the loot crate that dropped in Pachinki itself, leaving Church alone. Mad Bulls able to slink their way in. Enigma Galaxy, shots over towards S2G, but it's Federal there with the AWM, sending a big hefty shot S2G's way, and also finding Kengzo.
I mean, it's pretty big, bringing in this Orm that's probably from that loot crate. A really good move for Influence Chemin, or a good result on their move, should I say. You never know what's in them until you open them. But S2G locked in combat with Enigma Galaxy, both of them on 3. Players remaining on the western side. The next circle does encompass this compound. As R8 try and push up. Will be having a fairly tough time of it. Box up to 5 eliminations now. With the 4 that they were able to claim early, they are able to tickle another one away. It's tight to lose a player.
Goodness me. Federal with the AWM is honestly just taking the shots of his life at the moment. The ghillie suit sniper. He is pinpoint accurate, hitting the bullseye on a lot of those targets. Influence Chemin are having a huge amount of control over this area just from this singular spot. It is a really good compound to play in. Not opting to play the Harry Potter Tower as well,
which R8
Yeah,
have
bhai,
now just
bachcha
occupied, in which
के
case
यार
Influence Champion can maybe move their attention their way.
बूमरैंग भी आ गया भाई बूमरैंग आ
Just
गया
anybody
फॉरवर्ड आई
who
बॉल है
steps up gets
पोसिंग
popped with
उसके
that
बाद
AWM.
समझ गए
It is so hard to deal with.
SOG निगमा
When you have
गैलेक्सी
such good
सब कुछ है
oversight
भाई
over the open fields of Pachinki,
एलजी गया क्या हुआ
it's going to force a lot of players into the urban environment, and that
Yeah.
is going to make it harder for them.
It's much more comfortable high ground as well,
Yeah,
I'd say. I mean,
yeah.
you look at Church, there's a
इसलिए
lot
हंस
of
रहे हैं
areas
भाई
that teams can make their way into and maybe circumvent some of your outposts. In
ऐसे
this
हंस रहे
position
हैं
at the
सर
moment, really the
समझ
only
गए
big target, the big problem with this one is tossing the grenades from the
बूमरैंग भी
Harry
है
Potter Tower into the upstairs, right? Where it can
INFT
roll down the stairs and maybe catch you off guard. You have to be very careful about getting third-partied here. Two teams start looking your way, you best
DRS
prepare for a team to actually crash as well and receive that push. So if Influence Chemin, this takes a lot of gumption to
और भाई
play, but I'm
हीलिंग
sure
कितने
they
कर
can
रहा है
make it
भाई
happen.
इन्फिनिटी का प्लेयर
And they've seen the players
Newsy.
go into that tower as well, so they should be aware that there is that threat. They'll know
Newsy.
that.
Okay.
Most Logan trying to make the approach, actually doing a lot of work
Right.
over towards Killer, but it's not
Yeah.
going to be enough, unfortunately. The Infinity eliminated. Will have found their limit there. Titan on the south side of Pachinki, spread out in a bit of a line, quite a wide split to control the edge of this urban environment. And see if they can guard any teams from getting in.
SOG
DRS is really much a stealth play, right, on this edge, making sure there's no teams crossing over that road. It's practically open ground out towards that eastern side, so they should be able to see players moving in. So they can be quite happy that this area has been swept. But Mad Bulls, there's still a long way to... Oh, Federal!
Oh my god.
This guy is just opening holes everywhere at the moment.
Most damage for sure is going to be Federal in this game. Doesn't even matter if they win.
He's putting a folder together because he's practically the hole puncher at the moment, which is fantastic. But Mad Bulls, right in the dead center of this next circle. Again, they need to hit like a 5th to 4th place to make this worth it. And with 2 players in this area, which might get a little bit more heavily contested soon, this really does need to be a case of getting the head in the sand and waiting this one out a little bit.
Top 3 teams all still in it. Enigma Galaxy, Titan, Influence Chemin. Still going. 2 players alive for Enigma Galaxy though. And they will have to leave their current situation against S2G on the west side.
Puram taking that knock from Influence Chemin was pretty bad for them, honestly, but they're able to regroup, which is great news for them. Enigma Galaxy, on the other hand, not having the best of times as BTR actually opened someone up big here.
This northern side, they've been quiet for quite a while, but now they can start to eke their way in, have a little bit of an impact here. People have moved away from Church, R8 moved down the hill. No one has taken up that position. And Bigatron can kind of just sneak on in there. S2G, who were locked in that fight with Enigma Galaxy, now find themselves staring down the barrels of Bigatron. As Jen Foster wants to put these nades over towards Silas and Cal C, that is right on the money. And that will be the end of them. Bigatron wipe out S2G on the northwestern side. They should be able to claim Church for it.
Yeah, 4 limbs as well. Really good stuff there for BTR on the full squad wipe. I mean, S2G, again, very similar performance coming through from them, which is a case of good early game and then a bit of a slapdash late game where, you know, they get themselves caught out in the open versus a team that was waiting. Currently still in their watchtower, but you can see they're taking a bunch of damage as Influence Chemin finally starts to look their way. BTR takes a knock 2, and now they're just completely going for the full-on push, get these players out of the way so they can start to provide themselves with a little bit more room. Even smokes down on the ground for Law to be able to make this push up is pretty fantastic. They will have to worry though, because BTR has broad angles over towards them.
That's really going to force Influence Chemin back, tail between legs, but it's a really nice suppression from Grajowski. Hillboy might go down for their trouble, but they're able to slow Bigatron and force them into that fight with R8. Now, the good news for Influence Chemin is that they don't need to take that fight, because Bigatron are going to take it for them and keep control.
R8, 100%. Although saved by the bell by BTR, they're now locked in this spot, right? You know, and BTR's thrown away the key. It's going to be quite difficult for them to get out of this safe that's been spun. by the BTR squad. Mad Bull's able to put a little bit of damage actually over towards Influence Chemin, and I think they absolutely needed to do that considering how much control they've exerted on this game. Mad Bull's causing problems on this side technically means they're safer in their position over towards the center.
Bandar down. Escaton still standing for R8. Nades coming in towards 4 rivals. They're weathering it for now. 2 eliminations. Teams are starting to get closer and closer and closer together.
Boomerang.
3 teams, sorry, on 4 alive. Bigatron, one of them. Look at those nades over towards R8, who are finally down. This is the best performance they've had so far in the games today. This will be where it draws to an end. Federal's feet spotted.
Okay.
6 gets blasted as Mad Bulls chime in.
Yeah, honestly, they'd already taken a knock over towards Titans as well. And again, if you'd want 2 players from Mad Bulls up at the end game for a clutch performance as a duo, it would be Effect and Zerich. These 2 guys play off one another beautifully. And Titans currently are the team that is going to cause them the most problems, being the closest on their angles. Effect just trying to send some more grenades through. He doesn't have any left now, though. Just smokes, and that'll be required for the end game to keep the team and the position under the cover of the clouds.
Bigatron really exerts a lot of control here. I mean, you talked about how it's a lot of space for teams to hide underneath that church, but when you get to these late circles, that kind of turns itself around. There's not a lot of stuff you could do. That nade was beautiful. Coming over onto Buradam from 4 rivals, and in comes the push. The burn-up is there. That's the entire building cleared. There's no way you get those 2 players back up unless you go for a really fancy play. Tiger wants some retribution with the nade in through the window. Can he find it? The nade is in and exposed. Oh, there was a coordinated nading right on top of 4 rivals. There was one that went in through the window on the top right as well, and that is absolute decimation. I talk about retribution. There it is, Blank.
I mean, you pull the pin, you click the fingers, and the team is gone. These guys are working with Silly Bang at the moment, apparently, so I'm astonished that that happened so quickly, but Buram were caught on the off by one hell of a nade and then sent 2 of their own. BTR take that moment to move down to a compound of themselves, picking up a building, and it is the Mad Bulls, the dead center of the storm at the moment.
They are weathering it. You said to make it worth it, they had to go for 5th, maybe 4th place. With the 2 players that they had, I mean, they've sent center and they've kept a hold of it. Right now, 6 teams remaining. They're not in the easiest of spots, but they're still fighting. DRS get lined up on.
Yeah, and this is very much what you want to see from Mad Bulls. Is a case of, yes, they had to keep their head in the sand, but at this point in time where teams are starting to get a little bit too close, this is where, you know, that powerhouse behavior coming through from Effect and Zerich comes into play, because even though they are just a duo squad, they're very happy to continue to put the pain in towards a lot of these teams and almost mark their territory this way.
Bigatron might be a little bit of an issue for them, but if Influence Chemin harry them on the way in, it'll slow things down. And they can respond effectively. DRS moving in, trying to swing out. Up towards the little building there. Rules. Not going to go any further for now.
So tries to send some nades over that way to Influence Chemin, but the angle is just a little bit too difficult here. 2 players now remaining for Titan. BTR with 4. Looking to set themselves upon first win of the day, but it's Zerich to step up. Finding Luxie. Swings out just a little bit too wide. Now DRS might have a chance here to get a bit of a spray onto them, and it's all falling apart. The sand slipping between the fingers here for BTR. It looks so good.
Knocked on the top of the hill as well, removes their oversight, their power of suppression. So they're forced to get that res onto Zuxi down low. Influence Chemin taking bombardment. We've seen the nades be effective here.
6 of them as well.
Plenty remaining. Cross play for Influence Chemin. This is the final zone blank, and it's closing. It's going to force everyone together right into the center. At the moment, Mad Bulls probably one of the closer teams to it, but Influence Chemin getting naded out by Buradam. Skayovsky on the back. Zerich steps up, finds one spray into the smoke. Nades being pulled right now for Delta as he wants to lob it on in and get the answer. But Buradam are looking for suppression there as well. 2 players on the rooftops. This is the Urban Pachinki finish here on the circle. DRS cut down out in the open. Zerich dodges the damage there. The nade not quite on the target. DRS being shot out as well. Mad Bulls playing with 2. They're playing effectively blank. They are really forcing everyone to make decisions they don't want to have to make. Influence Chemin against Titans as everybody starts to pop off. Federal in through the window, but 2 of his teammates have fallen. Only Federal remains. Buradam on the top of the roof, still just raining down hell on anyone who peeks their heads out. As Mad Bulls continue to stay alive. We're down to 6 teams. They're still going.
And for Mad Bulls, it's just hit and run tactics at the moment, John. And teams are hemorrhaging players as we go, and Mad Bulls are starting to look like, you know, they can go toe-to-toe for everyone. I think they have maybe the most players over the Buradam. Last player from Influence Chemin goes down, and my name drops over the top. There is Insurgent over on that top side, and Mad Bulls might have to deal with this one.
God, that rooftop position was so huge.
This is cool.
Buradam, we're playing on the building. 2 versus 2. Top versus bottom here.
2 versus 2 की fight में.
The final zone is still closing. Neither team wants to make that step. Neither team wants to make that drop or try and push out. Mad Bulls really don't have the decision though. They can't access Buradam at this stage.
Stimming already. I hope he's got an adrenaline shot there because that's what's required. Buradam might even have to make the drop out the top side. Derek's just going to hold it. Drops out the top. My name goes down. Not any damage found though. And Tiger similarly also struggling. Effect jumps into the building. This is the perfect opportunity for them, but Zerich has to perform.
Oh, he doesn't quite manage to make it. Effect now last standing. Doesn't have full stims there. They will have to drop down on the out. Oh, he catches one. Effect needs to spray and he drops it. Top rope, it's Mad Bulls to stay alive. From the center of Pachinki, it's a duo. What a way to win it out for Mad Bulls here on Erangel. They absolutely controlled so much of that final zone. Buradam from the rooftops will have to fall.
Win.
And right into the scopes of Effect.
I mean, Effect at the end there, you can see him usually. This guy has got quite the stony face, but this man is happy towards the end. It's good to see. With the help of his buddy Zerich there in the middle. Real good stuff. I mean, you're happy to see it for them. Effect with the most valuable player, 1,126 damage done. Again, it was those hit and run tactics. They picked a very, very good central position. And this is where these new circle changes are coming into effect. Because, you know, they're not getting forced out. Thumbs up all around. Happy days. Really, really well done to this team. Honestly, I thought things were all over after we saw that tragic event over towards apartments. But you know, these guys don't give up. They really do not give up.
I mean, this is the Effect that you kind of expect to see, right? This guy is definitely one of the MVP candidates from the region. Phenomenal performance here, obviously through in those closing moments, but has been over the course of the last few months a powerhouse for the Mad Bulls, topping the tables here for the squad. It's blowing everyone else out of the water. Obviously, they lost too early, so those numbers are a little bit skewed, but even against Zerich.
I mean, the big thing you can look from both these players, though, is the 8 and 4 knockouts from both of them. Yes, they might not have 12 eliminations total between the two guys, half of that, in fact, but that's what was important. They kept slowing teams down. They kept keeping players at bay, and I think that's the main thing. I think Buradam took a really cool ending there, and we can't really kind of thwart them at all because Buradam played a marvelous game. They lost 2 players instantly with a double nade knockout onto Ward's 4 rivals, and they made it very, very far. Unfortunately, Mad Bulls just had the better end of it. They knew exactly what they had to do in those final moments.
I mean, look at that. From 7.5 minutes into the game, they were not playing with a full squad, and they were able to keep
that looks
control.
weird.
It does, doesn't it? But either way, the Mad Bulls were able to exert enough control over the zone to take home the chicken dinner, and with it, a whole heap of points.
I know we've seen Mad Bulls do this before when it came to Western Europe and it came to the regionals, but I did not expect at this stage of an event, Mad Bulls would be able to pull home a chicken dinner with just 2 players left alive. But what a play out of effect. They're able to get the shots on the Tigers. He's fallen from the roof to close it out for him and his team. They don't get the most points overall, but they still get a lot of points on their side that they needed.
You would never see PUBG Mobile games happen and end like this in the past. Because of these circle settings, you can actually go right to the last circle and actually have the circle close up around the teams, which means if you're the team that has the most central position in that circle, you're the one who has to gatekeep all the other teams. You're the one who has to take full control of that position. And Mad Bulls, sure, I think they lost their first player at the 7-minute mark, but as a 2-man, these are 2 players that we know can pop off. They have what it takes to perform on the PMGC stage, and it was close. It was down to the wire, but those extra sprays Effect got at the end just secured the win.
I felt like it was a bit of a mistake on Buriram's side just because they were doing so well up until that point. I mean, around the 12-minute mark, they pushed in, they managed to take control of a compound southwest, I believe, of Pmgc. They held on there for a very long time, around 20-22 minutes in. They managed to finally get in Pmgc after the zone forced them to, and they just held up again, and they used the roofs to their advantage. And that last second, I'm not sure what happened with the last duo from Buriram, but very well played from Mad Bulls, and happy to see them come out.
Well, let's be fair though to Buriram. Like, they got 2 players naded down by 4 rivals in one of those compounds. They lost those 2 players, and then Tiger and I think my MVP had to actually do like a synchronized nade tactic to knock out 4 rivals from that position. So we talk about duos going head to head. I mean, we have to give credit to them because they were able to pull that one back where it looked like they were almost certainly going to lose.
Yeah, I don't think they were playing PUBG Mobile right there. I think they were playing parkour more than anything on the rooftops, and no one could reach them from there. It was great execution, and they knew when the circle was centering up, they're like, okay, we're just going to control the western side. If we make sure no teams can really enter from that position, our final team focus shall be Mad Bulls at the very end. So good stuff, but that lead influence Shaman is closing up. Nigma and Titan are really close.
Yeah, but the Mad Bulls on 9 limbs. Everyone else about around them has like 10 or more. I mean, DRS and 4 rivals 10 and 12. But like, I'm not used to seeing Mad Bulls have this low eliminations.
And that's the thing, like, you have, I mean, what we had, I guess, after 3 games was Nigma Galaxy, or after 2 games, Nigma Galaxy in top 2, top 3 without a chicken dinner, but the consistency for them was there. They had the good balance when it comes to getting eliminations and getting placement points. Mad Bulls, we saw what happened to them, for example, in Miramar. They were, and I guess even in the first wrangle, they were just pressured at the very end of the zone, or rather at the very edge of the zone. And they just, nothing that they could do in that situation. So good change of pace for them, but now you need to do even more. You need to get into the top 3, and you need to stay there if you want to get to the grand finals.
Exactly right. It's about top 3 right now, and then obviously avoiding some of these last place spots that, well, the team that you keep talking up here, Sandstorm, is currently sitting in. I'm not gonna say the team name. I think you say it enough
Every time.
but I have to keep bringing it up. You know, I have to bash on someone, and I think Max has a little bit of seniority over you because he looks like he's 35. But anyways, moving on from that, I mean, Mad Bull is able to pull things off well. BTR, though, Max, you were saying, the church position they were playing in front was pretty good, but you were expecting them to maybe transition a little bit quicker in towards central Pmgc. And if I'm not mistaken, that got caught off guard by a couple teams because of that.
Yeah, with my 35 years of experience, I would know that BTR should have been maybe a little bit quicker on the rotation away from Church. But yeah, the thing is, Church is a great position. If you hold on to it and you have the scouting position done, it's great. The issue is when you have to leave Church into Pmgc itself, which is what happened there, because all the teams are going to center up, they're going to be so close to the outside of Church, and that rotation downhill to another building is so hard, especially when you have players of DRS going for off angles, same for, I think, Influence Gemen. It's so rough. And BTR, if they were just a little bit quicker, and Mad Bulls, if BTR were just a little bit quicker, I think this could have been their win, but unfortunately it just let things happen and it just went out of control.
Well, unfortunately, it's not hashtag BTR win yet. However, they still have 2 chances left to go. But for now, we have to head to a short break here. We'll get things ready to go for match 5. right, well, we are back here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure, again, you are following all of our social media channels here. You can see with PUBG Mobile Esports, you can follow all the players, you can follow the talent as well if you want to. And if you are BTR fans, remember, you can hit up Maxman30 over on Instagram to send him all your love or hate. Depends on which side of the coin you're currently sitting on. Hey, Max, at least I got a little promotion for you in there.
Thank you. That was not my correct Instagram tag, but I appreciate it. Nice try, though. It's a nice attempt. But yeah, I mean, BTR, they showed they come in. It's MaxmanCast.
MaxmanCast. Maxman30, I think, is your Twitter. So, hey, I'll give you a shout out for both. But also, I give a shout out to Sony Xperia. The Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream. We're creating collaboration with professional esports player. You can play 90 Hz with the Xperia Stream with this total cooling system, and it's multiple ports for some intensive gaming and streaming. Big shout here for them, as well as they are, I mean, all the players participate on those as well, which is actually helping quite a few teams. Influence Gem, and maybe this is like the phone they needed to unlock their potential, because they are doing amazing so far. They still have a lot more work to go. And of course, Answer, you're extremely happy about that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching these guys pretty closely when it came to the Americas Championship, seeing how they're playing, how they're approaching their rotations mainly as well. And we've seen them, and we've seen how it's done throughout today's games. And so well, with the fact that they've gotten themselves a chicken dinner, they got themselves a couple of top 2, top 3 placements as well. So they're already into the top 3, they're relieving a lot of that pressure, and they're starting to kind of get away with it bit by bit. But with Enigma Galaxy being eliminated, that kind of gave them a little bit of breathing room. Enigma Galaxy didn't really get that close, but I want to see if they're going to be able to bring that as well into day 2, because again, the consistency for every single one of these teams is going to be very important over the 4 days.
Yeah, well, at least your team has shown up. Unfortunately, the one that Max was touting this entire time with LGD has yet to do so. But Max, it's okay. There's still time. There's a lot of time. You can see our top performers here from this last match, and you can see Mine AP, 5 eliminations. Kind of surprised to not see Tiger up there, actually, because I feel like he got a lot of elims, or at least a lot of damage done with those nades on 4 rivals in core.
I feel like he's been playing more of the role of the enabler. Like, he set up the initial situation and Mane P would be there to close off the fight in really efficient way. So it worked as a duo. It seemed like Tiger and Mane P worked really well as a duo, but we'll have to see. And also, if you see an airdrop somewhere, go to it really quickly, because you do not want to give that Orm over to Fitter out. He was way too good with that weapon in that last game, and he was scary. He was getting shot after shot. Fitter has really stepped up this event. It's very scary for the teams around him.
His little toesies did get punished at some point, as we saw. I'm not sure, I don't remember who was actually shooting against him, but he still escaped in the meantime from that anyways. But I mean, obviously, as we push through into our 5th match, we're going to be heading back to Miramar and Erangel once again today. It comes down to which teams do you have to watch, gentlemen? And why don't you walk me through these, because I'm curious to see what you guys have to say.
We have the same already. That's what
Oh,
and that was not intentional, okay? That was not on purpose, but Enigma Galaxy did really good on the previous Miramar. Titan also did really good on the Prism Miramar. Actually got himself the win, right? So, and R8, because I felt like it made a good package. And what's even more insane is that right now, out of the 3 MEA teams in this group, 2 are in top 3. If 2 out of the 3 teams can make it directly to the grand finals, there'll be some great MEA representation in Indonesia. So, yeah.
What I don't get between you two is, and Sandstorm has been doing this the entire time, RA are in 15th place. How can you still back them right now every time? How are they still always?
Because it's still the first day. Yeah, because of their performance on Miramar specifically, it has been absolutely massive. And that, like, I guess Miramar was the one that actually managed to give them the MENA SA Championship last year. That was the one where they had the most amount of points, and that's what I want to see again from them. But I'm not sure what issue they're running into this time around, but they really need to change it up.
Let's head to our casters then to kick off our 5th match of the day with John and Blink once again.
Hello, we are going into match number 5 today here on Miramar for the PMGC. Group Red, Blank. We've seen ups and downs, we've seen Bigatron have their chance, but it was a little bit of a prank. Maybe they can win this time.
Maybe. I mean, to be fair, it was better than last time, John, and that's what matters. I think BTR currently, so far, looking much improved from season to season. I think it was a little bit, you know, a non-starter before, but now in this PMGC, it looks like they're really gunning those end games. And it was, like Max said, a struggle to get down from Church, leaving that location after causing such a ruckus from that area. You know, you're certainly going to get shots taken from you. And DRS managed to get themselves somewhat kind of slyly on that eastern side. I think that was the big issue for them, and Mad Bulls didn't deal with them till much later. So you do feel bad for a little bit for BTR, but again, those points don't lie right now. I mean, they might not be right at the top, but they're certainly putting up a competitive game.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly all to the overalls, as you say, are there to be the pudding to prove the mustard. Let's go with the mustard, why not? It's the word that I chose, but yeah, absolutely. Everybody really kind of putting up a fight here, and as we said before, these are the teams that are the best in their respective regions, so you'd expect that.
Yeah, you would, absolutely, and I think that, you know, there is some teaming up maybe more than others. I mean, we'll just take a quick look at the overall rankings at the moment. You know, Influence Chairman able to leapfrog their way up towards that top side, although that last game maybe wasn't, you know, the biggest match from them in terms of the chicken dinner. They still got a fair few elimination points from Federal in particular, with some incredible shots from that sniper. But 61 points, and then underneath them, Enigma Guys at 56, tied currently with Titan Gaming at 56. Underneath them, Buriram are able to get up to 42, and now Bigatron in 5th place. A great place to be, and also just underneath them, there's really been a big change up in terms of the leaderboard. Mad Bulls able to get up to 6th place, which is more or less where we expected them to be.
It would be a good result for them to be able to get up there, play with the rest of them, as we head over into Miramar for our second dose of desert today. Match number 5 about to kick off. Planes into the sky from west to east, heading down a little bit south leaning, but should be cutting fairly central across the majority of the map. So for Miramar, as far as this goes, fairly kind.
Yeah, this is a much easier playing path for a lot of these teams to work with, especially if you want to head up towards La Cabrera early on. Means you get those vehicles up towards Trailer Park, even head all the way over towards Torre Armada through this northern side of the map, as opposed to waiting until you get over towards Graveyard / Minas Generalis. So yeah, much easier playing path to work with here towards the end of the day. We only have one more match to go after this one. It will be back over to Erangel, so keeping our classics on the cards here, John, which is nice to see. Out of the plane, most teams have dropped out so far. Mad Bulls heading up towards Crater Fields, which is much more typical for that team anyway, alongside with S2G. Last game on Miramar, they were dropping down towards Los Leones, holding that alongside the guys from I8. Wasn't ideal for them, didn't get themselves the biggest game out of it, but we might see a little bit more success for them now that they've got some momentum rolling.
Momentum can be crucial at a time like this. Hard southeast circle shift flank. This is not ideal for quite a few of these teams. Cuts out a lot of playable ground in the first circle.
Yeah, I mean, that's a Shrek circle if I ever saw one, because it's pretty ugly, to say the least. I mean, you're over on this eastern side of the map.
Whoa, don't be doing my boy Shrek like that.
Look, man, he knows it himself. You know, you just got to find someone that loves him equally as
beauty
ugly
is what's
as
in
him.
this, what's in on the inside, and what's on the inside of the circle right now is Impala. So
and layers.
Those teams are feeling pretty happy. That's right, layers of Impala.
Layers of Impala, that's right. But yeah, we do have a very heavy eastern shift on this circle with a ton of water at play as well. So with this circle, we'll be slowly moving more and more central. You are going to have a case where this is more than likely going to have water in it for quite some time. So teams like Buridam, United Esports, as well as you guys from Team K. So you're going to be fairly happy with this one, as they're already set up in the position where they're more than likely going to finish out this map. There is a lot of high ground in this area to play around with, specifically up towards Impala as well, if you're heading over towards that eastern coastal side. And being here early on gives you a lot of that potential. We saw a very similar circle to like this over in the Americas Championships, in which case Influence Chemin came down from El Azahar and kind of stayed out of the fight for a long, long while, all the way on that eastern coastal side, and then ended up taking the victory on that very final game for themselves from very, very late entry towards the circle. And this is just a case of playing the time right, being patient, and waiting for that opportune moment, essentially.
Titan over in Bahia de Mar, really uncontested. Closest team, MTech Storm in Chumacera. So that south coast rotate potentially quite open for them to make. No scraps going on just now. across the rest of the map either. 4 rivals potentially even heading out further north, away from the circle towards Cruz del Valle, as MTech Storm looting up in Churrasera on the south side.
Yeah, it's a real nice spread of teams at the moment. We're not having those early engagements as we saw in that last Miramar. And this is also a case of what you would expect to happen on the second Miramar of the day, is a lot of these teams getting a feel for one another, where their rotations were coming through, especially at this global standard where you would expect teams to have a rough idea, at least of the teams that would be surrounding them, how they'd like to play that match out. For some of these teams, on the other hand, they don't have that same luxury, though, especially with, you know, some of those drop spots that they are likely to take. I mean, I'll just take the obvious one off the bat, which is Mad Bulls up towards La Cobraria. This is not a position that they were able to play last time around, so weren't able to get the lay of the land in terms of rotations around them. So again, this is more than likely going to be a bit of a quiet start for Mad Bulls. But again, a lot of these teams will be just slowly making their way up towards the circle, knowing that with how hard of a shift it is down towards the southeast, they have a rough idea where this is going to end up.
Should be fairly slow going for the time being right now, Blank. I imagine probably going to be waiting a couple minutes before we see those first engagements start to pop off. Influence Chemen regaining their position at the top after that last game. Enigma Galaxy falling just a little bit, but there was a clear top 3 at the start of the previous game. Now that has been a little bit assuaged, with Buradam following up to 42, Bigatron on 40, Mad Bulls even on 36. They're sort of challenging, but still there is definitely that clear divide between Titan Enigma Galaxy, Influence Chemen, and the rest.
Yeah, it felt a little bit weird towards the start of the day with, you know, having so many points invested at the top of the leaderboard and then it getting a little bit weird down towards the bottom. But you are right, we are having that divide now, but the divide is coming through a lot more evenly, right? You know, if you look at the numbers at the moment, we are having that steady ladder as we head up the rankings. BTR, though, spot out S2G. Misery starts to fight out, but Silas doesn't take too much damage, and not enough damage either. Misery might just be able to find some cheeky shots, though, and there's one of them. And the second.
Lines them up, knocks them down, bowls them for spare. Hamzy. Potentially next up, Silas is there as well. In comes the backup. Misery will get naded, but in comes the cavalry. Jim Foster slowest, but Luxy and Zuxy, the twins. Terrible twosome. Going to be halved there with another nade from Hamzy, as S2G holding out their position very, very well after a poor start, but they're turning it around. Jem Foster on that flank, moving in with Zuxy now, needs to operate effectively. Calci will be flushed. Hamzy and Silas still penned on in. Bigatron playing as 2 with 4 in the pocket. Hamzy and Silas looking for some heals, but it doesn't look like they have too much to be playing with. Silas low, not healing up. Hamzy to bandage what looked like there. The nade falls out around the side. A flush over onto Ray Z. The blank wall, not giving any windows, no angles. And Bigatron are going to fall back to try and go for the res. Caught on the cross. Hamzy spotted, but makes it.
Yeah, I think it's DRS taking shots from behind. I think this is a smart decision from BTR. They understand that maybe they're able to pick up some of these knocks that are on the floor. Misery is slowly starting to bleed out. S2G don't really give them much time, though, and immediately move up. So, you know, they're not done with this engagement as of yet.
Luxy crawling to safety, Misery res there. They're playing for safety. Luxy not there. Zuxy down. You need to respond now if you want to keep your teammates alive. They will lose one, but S2G fall. Bigatron staying alive. Zuxy trapped out in the open, actually getting flushed on out as well, as Egon I8 will be able to plink away a couple of shots, bring Bigatron down to 2.
Yeah, that's a really unfortunate engagement with DRS as well as I8 having all eyes onto this engagement. Moving to the other side of the compound to try and pick up some safety from anywhere, really. Understand that DRS were taking shots at them from that northern side, but then they have to worry about the south. So I think for BTR, this is just unfortunate overall. Good engagement to start off with. Misery obviously pulling something magical out the bag there.
Over the top, over towards Misery's downed form. Jim Foster play off against 4. A tall order to be sure. Not sure he's up to it, but spray for 1, spray for 2. Jim Foster starts off well, but goes for the points and the flushes instead of trying to find that third. I feel like he had a good shot on that third as well. It's a little bit too big for the boots. Gets
Fine,
bonked.
तुमने क्या किया?
Yeah, honestly, I felt like the third was very much available. I don't think he even gets greedy there. I think he's like, right, I need to just go for the point here, get the elimination on board. But that is the quote-unquote correct play. But I think with the way that he'd handled a lot of that engagement, a lot of those fights, maybe he could have just gone, complete sicko mode and gone for the 1v4, which it really did feel like it could happen. Next circle, very, very big shrink on the circle here over towards the side. Very much an Impala finish now. Enigma Galaxy lost a player to Mad Balls as they're rotating down from water treatment.
Oh, wow, wow, the circles. Giving us an exciting day today. 40% water in this next one. Start to slow down. After that brief engagement, that brief pop-off, Mad Balls maybe still in some trouble, but the Infinity, they've moved just a little bit closer on in, maybe going to be running into the back of MTech Storm. They go too much further, they should be able to scout that. They're nice and spaced, they have got that split, but looks like they're going to sail underneath the view of MTech Storm there.
Yeah, I mean, the Infinity is a massive oddball in this lobby at the moment. First place in the Fall Thai League. Obviously, they also took the PUBG Mobile Regional Clash, take first place there, and also the first place in the Southeast Asia Championship. The fact that they're currently on 12 points and already have lost a player is such a weird turn of events, in my opinion.
Yeah, for first day, this is not the performance you expect from a region champion. You want more from them because this is just one slice of the lobby, and it's not even the big group, right? So if they're not able to stand up here, do they have a shot against other teams? Of course, it is only day one, but this is, as you say, not looking hopeful.
I mean, they're already at risk of just being dropped from PMGC entirely. They're in that bottom 5 at the moment and haven't been able to put up too many points. And you look at that, though, it's 13, 12, 12, 12. LGD, Team Queso, the Infinity, RA, all struggling massively. Able to pick up a few eliminations here and there, but that's really about it, where a lot of the story is being told at the top of the table at the moment.
That top 3 defined for now. A 16-point buffer between Enigma Galaxy and Bigatron, which won't move too much further unless Buraram... Actually, hang on a minute. Buraram will be above. No, they won't. Hang on a minute, because the elims get added on. Okay, I'm getting confused here. But Buraram down in 5th with 42, sat about 12 points behind, or 14 points behind that 3rd place. This early on, that's quite a large buffer. That's basically a full game's worth of play.
Yeah, they're happy at the moment, but Mad Balls have made their way in on the top of Minas Generalis, playing very much edge play style. Didn't want to get too far into it. Again, I think that for Enigma Galaxy, they went for the safe play.
Goodness me.
Yeah.
I was seeing Gumba Stomp in action going on there. LGD will be able to roll over the top of the hill, find Buraram. Certainly one of the players. Kengzo goes down, 3 alive now for their strikeout to break that top 3 barrier.
Anyways, like I was saying, Enigma Galaxy went for the safe play up towards that northeast side to move down through the rows towards Influence Cherin, LGD, but it gives you a lot more time to stay out of the action. Mad Balls instead taking the approach over very open ground, and again, already taking a knock there from R8, just, it shows how exposed that position, that ingress is. So they will group restabilize and try and make something out of this engagement, but losing another there, goodness me.
Pressure for rivals. You've got Aegon I8 as well, right around the corner. Nade in. Volky backed off. Low. Scribe rezzed right now. Getting rezzed. Don't want to go for this push. For last player, you don't want to be running into 3 or even 2. Those sight lines with Trisme out the hill as well. You've got to be very, very worried now, especially when the door next to you gets blown off its hinges. And the nade blows you up as well. Will fall down. 14th place for 4 rivals. They had a good start, but it feels like they're trailing a little bit.
Yeah, it's slowly falling off. All right, Bandar does go down now. Prestige all on his lonesome. Zerich looking to battle off against this. Only 2 players up and standing, looking to bring skills as back into the fold as R8 has moved back together as a unit, started this engagement as just 2 players as Mad Balls moved in, but a very nice nade to open this one up meant that Mad Balls went down to just the 3. This could be a good nade from Monkey. He's insane when it comes to nades.
Perfectly placed there, right over the wall. Bandart res down again. 7 Prestige. SK turn up the top as well for R8. They're playing as this 3-man unit lining up on the wall for Monkey to try and get that spray angle. SK not moving around to try and suppress it as well. Allows Zerich to fall out the door. Will be able to find that forward knock. 2 players down now for R8, but 2 down for Mad Balls in response. SK now into the fight, but super low. 2 players for Mad Balls down, leaving Monkey alone. Doesn't have any nades to lob on through, because that could have been devastating. Looking for the reses instead. Nades now coming out from SK Turn around the side of the building. Puts it down the wall line, and that's pretty good, but it's behind the pillar. Only finds 1, but that res is going to be really risky. I don't think you're going to want to go for it. SK Turn with another nade on the inside. Finds the second flush, and that's the 3rd. Coming in for Prestige to find Monkey.
Yeah, they started this fight out with a grenade to take down effect, and they finished this fight out with some excellent place ones as well. I mean, that fight looked like it could have gone very topsy-turvy, and Zerich maybe overplayed his hand there, moving out and trying to take the player that was behind the boxes, behind the crates. So Mad Balls suffer because they don't take that same play up towards that north edge. Meantime, Enigma Galaxy passed by them, lost 1 player to them early, have made their way in towards Impala. Now R8 can start to make their stint down this way as well. We won't be having an island finish, unfortunately, but we do have these tall mountains that are still in play. Burrow holding on to a little bit of it, but LGD do still have masses of high ground to play around with.
A lot of space. As it zones onto them as well. So it's LGD's chance to launch themselves from the bottom of the tables as well. Get into a more comfortable position towards the end of the day.
Yeah, only 3 players though. It's not a lot to play off the sidelines of one another, and if one of you goes down on that top side, it's even less likely you're going to get a res available. So they will have to play their cards tight to the chest here at the end of the game. The Infinity already out. 12 points once again. Still sat at the bottom, not able to pick up a single point on this game. It really is a very much wild card for me.
Bandar hiding behind the crate. Shot backs him off, but has got a vehicle, getting shot out in the meantime. Smoke is there. I think he's thinking about getting in. Takes a bullet for it. Repositions, tries to hide the wheels, but don't think you're getting away from here without... Has 5 of them. And fully level 3, so potentially looking to razz it on up. No, the buggy comes in for the rescue. They get in, and they're going to bug straight out.
Max over here, taking shots from Buram. This is what the high ground affords you. Gives you a lot of positions to be able to just take shots down towards any players that are out in the open. And look how much ground this one singular spot covers. There is potential to take shots back up towards him. Very hard to shimmy back out of the way, but that's why you angle yourself like this, so you can just turn, turret. It gives you a lot of cover. So well played there to Buram to set all this up. Give them a lot of position to play in. Again, this is very influenced Chemin-like though. You can see, you can't see them right now, but you might just be able to catch a quick glimpse of them up on the top right of your screen. They are the pinky purple team, I guess. Pinky
Magenta?
red, pinky
Mauve?
red. Let's say pink. Yeah, let's say magenta.
Yeah,
they're the.
I don't think it's magenta. No idea.
Maybe not. Maybe not. Anyway. You know what I'm saying? They're very top right team. But this is very influenced Chemin of them because they will play on this edge of the map for a very long time and just remain safe. And as for, especially with the amount of players that can be breaking against one another on this map and the amount of times, you know, 2 boxing rings will be set up and they'll go at it. You know, influenced Chemin just looking to keep 4 members alive as long as possible and then pick up the pieces at the end of the game.
Next circle will be dictating a lot of the pace of the next. And it zones again onto the hill. LGD with that big chance. Buradam as well. With the high ground suppression onto all of these teams in Impala. Luckily, they don't have to leave it just yet. So they have a little bit more time to play around with. Influence Chemin. Sit pretty.
And unlike a lot of our other circles, at this point in time, with these next few circles centering up more and more with a lot more space within them, it is very unlikely that Buram or LGD will have to leave this position too early. So getting up here nice, very, very quickly at the beginning of the game gives them a huge amount of control going forward. I think both teams will be very sad that they lost a player at the start and down to 3 each, because this could have been a much more dominant game if they're able to hold on to 4.
It is unfortunate, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. Buram on the western side of it also going to be able to hold out. Similar situation for them, 3 players. Titan southwest making their push in straight past Team Queso. Reyes will find the knock, and the spray down will be coming in from Pubg. Spray over towards Puncher, but he's back over that ridge line. They turn around on the rotate, and Titan stay up with 2, losing a player earlier as well. Leaves them at 2 alive.
Yeah, Titan's still been quite strong, but losing a little bit of their oomph here towards the end of the day. I can't say they haven't still played very well, though. And I mean, at this point in the stage of tournaments at this end of the year, where you're having so many fantastic teams joining you, it is unlikely you can be dominant every single match. So you just pick up the points where you can. Influence Chevron, on the other hand, have a very, very good consistent streak here today at 61 points with 4 players alive as well. One of the only teams with 4 players alive in the top bracket of contenders. Buram 42 points with 3. Enigma Galaxy with 56 with only 2 players. And Titans obviously tied with 56 down to 2 players. So right now, Influence Chemina themselves up to kind of get themselves apart from that pack and start being the leader, the sprinters.
Well, I mean, when you add on the eliminations, though, that Titan have got this game, it's 61 to 60 right now in that second place. So it is really quite. Still, as you say, there is a leader, but it is very much all to play for, and it's still early days on the week.
Absolutely. I mean, getting ahead now, though, with the 4 players and getting a few eliminations towards the end, which they're more than likely going to pick up, Influence Champion could really set themselves apart from these front runners, is what I was trying to say, by the end of today, which would be really nice coming into tomorrow, where you're not really battling for your life every single day and the pressure's not always 100% on. I8, though, lose 1 player to R8. Across the road here. Difficult crossing, honestly. It's kind of this relies a lot on the circle to come your way for R8. But getting first knock and a lot of damage onto one of those players before he got raised does give them time to maybe think about what kind of decisions they have to make next.
Next circle will be coming in soon, and as you said, that shift is going to force R8 to make a difficult decision, make a difficult rotate. Again, it goes on to these central hills, though. Influence Chemin will have to regroup a little bit. They'll have to figure out how they want to play on that eastern side, but they're protected from the most part from pretty much everything going on.
It's the good thing about getting into Impala is that, these teams that are holding in the mountainside, they don't have X-ray vision, so they can't shoot through into the buildings itself. So R8 just has to make this push here, understanding that these teams up on high will be cause them more and more havoc. So they have to just move in and try and make something happen, leapfrog this position here. With IQ going down as well, this is a beautiful start for them.
I mean, Boxer chiming into this fight with shots across the way. That top floor getting cut across. DRS moving into position as well. A little bit further south of this. The nades from R8 starting to pour on through, and it's going quite well on the cross. They've managed to make it. Now they need to move through this urban environment. With DRS on their side swipe, it's going to be pretty tricky, but they can start to exert that pressure. D7 trying to burn through that door. We'll be able to break it open. Ghost wanting to hold it off, fades away. Turns ethereal. LGD find a beautiful little shot to Prestige to snake it out. DRS against Titan. 1-for-1 on the trade out in the open. Yanti. We backed off, Sky only. Not going to get the knocks just yet. Takes a little lick of damage in response as well. Ooh, very, very low. Getting knocked on that ridgeline is super dangerous. It pops your back up just that little bit, and if you're too far forwards, that's an easy flush.
Yeah, with the 3 players they're rocking with, like, it's unlikely that you're going to see them be able to get a res off if one of the players on the off angle, specifically my name, goes down. That's it, essentially. Box taking a fair few players from R8, SK Ton falling to LGD, so they have a lot of eyes on them currently, Jump.
Ooh, luckily able to land that final shot, which should allow the res for Tiger. For Buradam to keep 3 of them alive. DRS, though, can use that opportunity to move through or skate underneath and around. These hills proving to be brutal. Pop about to come through for the circle.
You see it? Still just watching out. I mean, when we get to that final circle, though, if you're on the top of this mountain and someone can get underneath, then you do have a problematic turn of events where you will have to come down, and dropping off that mountain without a vehicle is very difficult. And I'm not sure if LGD or Buram have set up that beforehand. Box still trying to eliminate as many sightlines as possible from LGD. CCC has been an absolute powerhouse on this top side with some very nutty shots.
Circle did come through very, very central. And again, it's right on towards Buradam. It's right on towards LGD on their side of the mountain. Influence Gemma, they've just been chilling on the east side, but now they're going to have to make that decision. Do they push in and try and take LGD's position, or do they try and hide that out yet again?
Titan taking the shack. Team Case are unable to get close with oversight coming through from Buram at the moment. A little bit rough. Now Influence Chairman looking to start making their way into the circle, moving up towards where LGD are playing. Because they have to watch both angles from Box as well as Influence Chairman, their attention is slightly split. When the 3 players are able to hold as a 2-2 with a refrag potential on either side.
It's like LGD are taking shots from Box, and Influence Chairman have tried to move up to it. Look at that high ground aggression. Box cannot see Influence Chairman, and LGD could be caught in that pincer there. Buradam holding off the players trying to move in from the southeast side. Team Queso. LGD take a knock, actually coming in from Team Queso, who are on the backside of that hill. They are battling off against everybody. Buradam taking shots over towards Influence Chairman. There's about 4 people involved in this fight, Blank.
Yeah, for Buram at the moment, it's very difficult for these guys to peek out for even a second. Sky's going to look to pick up Teak, who's inside the shack, and Influence Chairman have played this pretty marvelously, getting around a lot of these sight lines by just edging their way up towards rock faces. DRS looking over towards MTech Storm at the moment. 2 players in there, but it's Buradam again. Tiger has eyes on. Very difficult to play with this one with 2 teams up on the top of this mountain. Just playing hand in hand, essentially.
Nade, it's just a little bit too short there. Doesn't quite get what you're looking for off the target there, but there's a re-knock and Delta's out in the blue. Willful DRS, very, very low. You can pick up that flush. That's very, very nice. Add that point to the tally for Buradam. 4 eliminations now on the game. As things start to close themselves down, and only Buradam in the dead center. Look at that. Playing ring around my name.
Box edging their way up with the vehicles, but now taking huge damage there from LGD. Not allowing to get any further into this one. Overhand toss with a grenade, 5 there for them. LGD were certainly thinking ahead here, knew they would have to hold on to nades for when these players started to get too close, and they'd have to go for the full squad wipe. So a well-placed nade from YZZ could be the end of Box Gaming.
Oh. Wasn't quite long enough there. Unfortunately bounced, but if Box pushed too far, that might bobble in. 1 knock is good. Looks for a second as well over the ridgeline. Takes a little bit of damage. Half HP, has first aid. Will be looking to pop 1 HE left in the pocket. 3 on the back for Suki as well. Scry rolls up with the party bus, keeping Box with some cover on their side as well. That's going to allow Trismay to get back up as Scry can cower behind it as the nades continue to roll through. Bensu allowed to cross because the nade was in hand. Knocked, but makes it. Stays alive, and Box can keep themselves up at 4. There's threats from the other side though. There's Influence Chemina there. So are Buradam as YZ steps up for the spray over towards Tiger. Gets a lot of damage, but forced to back off and go for the reload. More worried about Box. doesn't have any more nades left in the back pocket. Spots Trisme, spots Bensu. Bensu the one to go down, and Box at 3 active.
And they lock them against the cliff face here, so there's no way that they can start to challenge out against LGD. And Burham at the moment, Tiger was so unsure where he was getting shot from, so LGD really haven't shown their hands on this side of the map for a long, long while. I think that's nades coming from Influence Chemin at the moment. Scry trying to keep Enigma Galaxy at bay. It will be slightly difficult, but finds at least one.
Lord down and flushed. Drop shot for a second, not good. Scry will fall, and now free standing tall for Enigma Galaxy. LGD from the top will be looking down on this fight. Box only have one player left. It's Break playing on the outside, not under the sight lines of LGD right now. Tiger, challenge out yet again, getting sprayed and peppered and forced back off the angle once more. Influence Chemin struggling on that eastern side in the meantime. As LGD drop down to try and play together, it's my name to close out Team Queso.
Yeah, 2 knocks on Influence Chemin at the moment. And they thought this game would not be lasting this long or be able to allow LGD so much control this entire time. Trying to get players back up on their feet, but it is unlikely. MTech Tarman will go down as well. And currently LGD on a bit of a streak here.
This is the final zone closing. Blank, we've got 7 teams. This is crazy. The amount of cover that this mountain has been affording is incredible. Buradam, LGD reaping those rewards. Buradam really with the dominant position though. It's all about being central for this next one. It looks like LGD took that initiative.
I mean, this is going to be going all the way to the limit here, John. Trisme spotted. Last player from Box down to 6 teams, only 10 players. 5 teams now, 2 per team.
Shots
Crazy
over towards
stuff.
Freak. Will take down another. 4 teams remain now. They're falling fast. It is the final zone after all. Influence Chemin step up, rebuffed immediately. YZ with the close range engagement goes well. Kayovsky falls. The seconds to go for Influence Chemin, and only 1 player now remains for them. Around the ground will fall as well. LGD, Buradam, they stayed at the top. And Buradam are getting forced out, playing into the blue. Tiger is there the last. Suki drops out. Tiger maybe looks for a challenge, but it is LGD to take home that chicken dinner. A much needed reprieve from the bottom of the tables. It's the chicken dinner for LGD.
Honestly, a really difficult game there for LGD, and managing to make that one happen is quite astonishingly impressive because they had to hold out as just 3 players. Not only Box, they were holding at R8 and I8, and then also keeping Influence Chemin at bay, who always had their eyes on dismounting the guys from LGD throughout that entire game. And you know, Max definitely said that. I'm not going to joke around now because it is quite serious, but Max was always saying, you know, when they're on Miramar, they do have a really, really good set of moves around them. And I think when it comes to that long-range engagements, they are quite strong when it comes to it. So, you know, Max was definitely on the money there. But again, you're right, John, this was a much-needed game for LGD.
To give them some chance at staying in that middle pack and even contend if they're able to put up more performances like as well in future Miramars in every other map as well. Refresh, reset, go for the next game and try and put that power on in. What a way to close out their first day there. Really solid.
I mean, YZZ, honestly, a very, very strong game from him. Didn't have a lot of eliminations, but 8 knockouts, 900 damage done, constantly harassing the guys from R8, constantly keeping the guys from Box Gaming at bay because it was difficult. I mean, CC and Suki were both dealing with the Influence Chemin threat on the backside, and it was all down to YZZ to keep everyone in front of them at bay, keep them back against the wall. So honestly, a very, very good job from him. And I think when it came down to it, was he had to request support with Box, but also when it was absolutely necessary, and allowed those 2 players to keep Influence Chemin down the mountain as long as possible, which 100% led to their win there.
Look at that. Buradam, no smokes used in that game. Like, that's kind of crazy. They lost a player early, obviously, that 11-minute 40 mark, but no smokes. They just used the cover of the ground.
Oh, you don't need smokes when you're on top of the building. You're not really smoking anything up. You're up with the clouds anyway. Don't even worry about it.
Exactly. You have all the cover you could ask for. LG take home the chicken dinner.
Well, I have to ask, Max, man. Not even ask. I'm going to put you on the spot. The one time you don't put LGD as a team to watch is the time they win. Is that RRQ Athena Maxman curse back for LGD?
I'm going to spoil it right now. My prediction for the next game, my team to watch, is LGD. So if they don't win it, it is confirmed. But LGD still getting himself a win. Not going to jump too much on the curse there, but it was not an easy game, right? Sandstorm, we were talking back and forth about this circle on the side of Impala. You very rarely see this circles, and yet LGD, the way they were just keeping teams away as much as they could, with only 2 to 3 players, by the way, they were getting pushed by Box, getting pushed by Influence. So many teams are trying to get that spot, and yet they hold down the fort as a 3-man crew. The team can do great. One thing they can do even better is not lose a player early game. If they do that, they're looking great.
Yeah,
they're no Mad
Bulls,
use
their
right?
position.
Exactly, it's too early.
Pretty much.
Go ahead, Sandstorm.
No, I was just saying that it was a very good use of their position, and the same thing could be said for Buriram Esports as well. They had perfect use of the high ground. They managed to try and pressure a lot of the teams that were coming in as well. You had Enigma Galaxy as well, very close to the area as well, very close to the mountain. They kind of used teams above them for extra cover. So they managed to get themselves another high position, which is very good. But LGD again, Max, don't pick him, please. Just give him a break. Give him a break for the last game. It's the last game. It's the last game. Just give it a shot.
No.
That's Max woke up and shows a little bit of violence today. He knows what teams he wants to really win. Let's take a look at overall rankings. I'll get an idea where teams do stand. We had Enigma Galaxy in first place going into this match. Will they maintain it? We're going to find out here. They won't. Influence Chemin actually going to be in first. Actually, I might have been wrong. It might have been Influence actually first before that. Enigma second. But the fact is, these two teams, if you asked me at the start of the day, would they be number 1, number 2? I would have said, hell no. No chance. They would be first and second place with how the performances might have been going into this, but also the caliber of teams that we have currently participating. But Buriram United Esports, nice to see them in third place, actually. I mean, they had a fantastic finish before. They had a good placing here as well, as we just got to see. They are proven to be a pretty damn strong team.
Yeah, I mean, we saw in the previous Erangel game, we saw My Name P and also Tiger do great with the rooftop plays, etc. They've been doing fantastic, but... Look how the turntables. It's very unfortunate though. I expected them to be top 3. This is not top 3, I believe. I got my glasses on, so yeah, this is not looking good.
They're just giving everyone a chance, right? They're giving everyone like, hey, we'll play the first day really slowly, guys. Day 2, we're gonna step up. That's how it goes, Sandstorm, I believe.
Yeah, 100%. Listen, day 1, we don't want to talk about it. We just want to get into game 6 and like wrap it up. But day 2, we'll see what happens with our boys.
Yeah, and the thing is, right? Obviously, performing well on one day is good. But you have to know, if you're one of the teams in top placings right now, every team's going to be gunning for you. Every team, after we're done participating today, is going to be going back, watching the VODs. If you have a coach, you have a major advantage, or an analyst. If you don't, you're going to put yourself into a really tough spot. Everyone's going to be watching the rotations. In day 2, it's basically be almost a fresh start yet again. Maybe your drop locations will be secure, but teams are going to be knowing exactly how they want to play against you and rotate around you. But obviously that still is yet to come. In the meantime, before we get into our 6th match of the day, we're going to throw it down to the stage here with an interview with Contra.
And we've already concluded 5 matches for today, and there's 1 more to go. But before we go into our final match, we are now joined by Enigma Galaxy's very own Freak. Welcome on board. And first, for the first 3 games, you guys have been looking phenomenal and are feeling it today. So first, previously, we've talked to a few teams, and coming into the group draw, some teams really wanted to avoid Enigma Galaxy, especially Bigatron Red Alien. So I really want to hear from you. Is there anything you really want to say to all the other teams, like BTR, that are also in Group Red?
I mean, not really, but I could see why BTR had a big reaction for us being in the same group. Because we had the same drop spot, but they changed. I guess, yeah, that was good for us. The other teams, I don't really have anything. They're all strong teams, and we're just trying to have fun and do good, trying to qualify to Grand Finals.
فاسأله انتوا يعني عندكم شيء تريدون تقولوا الفرق الثانيه خصوصا مثل بيجاترون فجواب فريق قال انه احنا الحمد لله بيجاترون يروحون اماكن ثانيه احنا كنا هم ينزلون نفس الاماكن مثلنا نروح اماكن ثانيه والفرق الثانيه ما عندنا شيء نقول لهم احنا بس هسه نحاول نوصل توب 3 ونروح المركز الثلاثه الفوق ونروح المرحله الثانيه.
All right, that's awesome. And overall, this competition have definitely been really stiff, but you guys have been in the grand finals before, and you guys made it to the top 3 just last year back in the PMGC. So now that you're in this group, once again, I really want to see like which teams do you feel like will give you guys a little bit of a big challenge, especially from what you saw for today. And also, before we go into our very final race for the top, is there anything you'd like to say to not only your teammates but all the fans there supporting Nick Mgc?
I mean, I don't really think there's a specific team that could be a problem for us. It's just maybe the teams that drop around us, maybe not. But yeah, I mean, we're just trying to focus on our game. We studied them very good, but we're mostly trying to focus on our game. And for the fans, I mean, I hope we will be up to your expectations. I mean, I know we didn't do really good lately, but now we're absolutely ready, and we're here for the win, nothing else.
بس له انه اكو من اليوم اكو فرق انه انت خايف منهم او فرق انه تحذرين منهم، يقول انه لا احنا بس الفرق شوي يعني ما نريد ننافس وياهم يروحون نفس المكان نروح لهم، بس احنا مركزين على لعبنا اليوم. وهذا عندك شيء تريد تقول المشاهدين؟ بس احنا ان شاء الله انه يعني نوصل مرحله انتم تريدون نوصل لها، وان نعرف انه قبل فتره ما كنا بالمستوى اللي نلعب به، بس احنا ان شاء الله نوصل للفاينلز وان شاء الله نربح البطوله كلها.
It's great to hear that you guys are very well prepared to go into grand finals in Jakarta, and there's still many more games to go. So definitely, I would love to wish all the best to you and the rest of your team. And we still got one more game to go, so I hope that you guys stay with us for this one, and we'll be seeing who will get our final chicken dinner for day one of the PMGC League 2022.
Well, great to hear Freaks say they're not worried about any other teams, especially any ones that drop around them. And to be fair, the results have been kind of proving that. They're not really afraid to fight anyone, and they're in second place overall. So if we stopped right now, they would be into the finals, kicking off in January. But gentlemen, we're about to head into our final match, and it will be on Erangel once again. We just saw Mad Bulls previously win this match with just 2 players left alive, though. I don't think it's going to be a Mad Bulls win yet again. I don't think we're really going to see any double chicken dinners for any team. I almost want to say on any day, but who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I would have loved to have a double chicken dinner for one of the teams here, but the level of competition is so high now between these teams. I picked them, so we'll see. If they do, it'll be great. Okay, I don't think so though, unfortunately. They got to stop losing players in the early game. That would be the best way to go. But I wanted to mention actually a few players of Buriram. We saw some good players from Tiger in particular. But man, Sky Only has been great at that long. Sky Only really helped him just lock down that position.
Yeah, he really did. And I feel like when we were looking at Buriram esports, they were kind of focusing mostly on the south side of the mountain. Meanwhile, LGD was focusing on the northern side. So it was kind of split, but I do like the fact that the statistics are still pretty darn close between both these players in terms of damage and in terms of eliminations as well.
I mean, looking across the board, Limbs is equal for all 4 of these players here, but the team contribution percent definitely spiking here for Freak, for Prestige as well at 62%, which is pretty ridiculous. And that kind of worries me for RA, because we have been talking about them as, you know, you mentioned quite a few times, Sam, sort of one of the better teams, but they're able to show that results. Maybe we're seeing a little bit of lacking performances from individual players.
A little bit, and that's the thing that we're seeing from Prestige. He seems to be the one that's kind of picking up the slack a little bit. I'm not sure what's going on with Aida and with Bandar, but these guys, they're usually some of the strongest players in the region locally, but they seem to be struggling on the international stage, maybe because it's the first time that they're competing together. Obviously, it was a different roster that won MENA South Asia tournament last year, so this might be the issue. The synergy might not be there. The international experience together might be the problem. Might be the... So we'll see. I want to see what the solution is going to be, I guess, starting day 2, because it's too late to fix day 1.
I mean, we got to see, obviously, them when it came to, was it the after party showdown for PMWI Max, but the teams there aren't, I think the competitiveness of the lobby of PMWI after party showdown is not equal to the competitive lobby we have right now here in Group Red. I think there's definitely a higher skill level across the board here, so it's, I think, tough to adapt on the fly in a day, but again, like, they have tonight, they have tomorrow morning, they have still 3 days of action. It's just whether or not they can adapt themselves and improve on themselves in the next days.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't really have a choice. They have to adapt, because if you have 2 bad days, odds are you're not going to be part of top 3, that's pretty much 100% confirmed. You might not even make it into the survival stage, and you really need to make it right there if you want to potentially have a chance to go into in Indonesia in January for the grand final. So, alright, need to do better. I mean, you mentioned it right there, Sandstorm also, and I think it's a really good point. Ida and Banda have not been present. It's been Escaton and Prestige all day so far in these games, and we need high teams step up if they want to get high in the rankings.
We know what we need to see. Your guys' teams to watch. I'm curious, Max, did you put LGD down yet again? You mentioned, I think, that you did.
I'm sorry. I have to test out, okay? I'm a man of experimentation, okay? I have to see if it is true or not. But hey, if they get themselves a back-to-back, I'll be stoked. And also Mad Bulls, because Mad Bulls are pretty good.
At least you haven't picked the same 2 teams almost every game, like a certain other analyst on the desk here.
Am I wrong, though? Am I wrong? The 3 teams that I have picked, they have consistently been showing up, influenced Chemin, constantly getting top 4, top 5 in every single one of those games, and they're still in the top spot. Enigma Galaxy, same thing can be said. They're not doing it to the same extent, but they're still getting a decent amount of points every single one of those games, unlike someone's team, Mr. I pick LG.
Hey,
they don't win.
Imagine picking the same teams every single time. I know Jason would never do that. No, and
I was going to back you up, Max. I was going to be on your side here, and now I'm on Sandstorm's side. How dare you, Max, not pick teams that are in the top 3? You should be doing that every time. That's always your teams to watch. But the thing is, we're going into the final matches shortly. We have about 20 seconds to be kicking off the game. And it's going to be tough here because this is like the final note you're going to be leaving day 1 on. You want to get as many points as possible, obviously looking towards that survival stage. Top 3, like you said before, Max, it might be difficult for teams to kind of collapse on that position if they can't have any sort of step up now. But there's every opportunity to do so. So we're throwing back to our commentators here to kick off the final match here, day 1, the PMGC Red Group Stage.
The game left to go blank. We are ready for it. We're back over to Erangel to close us out where we started. Another dose of the good old green. We are going to be seeing just who can close out with the strongest performance. We're now seeing a top 4 bracket start to form.
A lot of teams at the top now who are kind of vying for this position, which is great to see. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see if anyone else can start to jump their way back up again. LGD's already had that singular performance, which was so very important to them as well on day 1. You do not want to be left down the cold towards those bottom 5 teams, especially when all of them were getting so limited amount of points. The Infinity is in a real struggle bus at the moment. They need to really pick some things apart in terms of their gameplay for tomorrow and try and fix some stuff, because they're certainly not a team that should be down here towards those part of the rankings. Like you said, this is not even the difficult group either, right? So yeah, not enjoyable right now for some of these teams, but for the likes of Enigma Galaxy, if it was Chemin, they are looking to put themselves towards that top side. It will be just a few more moments towards the games. Don't worry, you know, all the players are seated, comfortable, ready to go. We want this last game the most magical time, but we'll get there eventually, don't you worry.
I'm sure we will. We're just getting it all set up. With only the 1 game left to go, though, it's all about clambering out of those bottom spots, really, for a lot of those teams, right? Bottom 5, not where you want to be. Top 3, very cool. That's going to get you all the way into all the way into those grand finals. I mean, you talked about that earlier, and that top 4 bracket currently looking good to try and take that. Of the 24 matches that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of days for this group, they have only just about broken into that first quarter of them. So being in the top 4 at this stage, it's good, but it's by no means the be-all, end-all.
Yeah, I mean, for Budoram in particular as well, I mean, this is an impressive team on their lonesome. Like a 3rd place on with 64 points. Very, very well done to them with 28 elimination points, which is quite good, which is evened out by their 36th place with points as well. But I think the most interesting thing about this team is just their rise and their performance, right? And so you look at them in the entirety of 2022, right? Like their first tournament, PMPL-wise, Thailand, obviously spring 2022, they got a 14th place in that one. And then they have played a load of third-party tournaments since then, getting 3rd, 4th, and they come into the Southeast Asia Championship of fall after doing a lot of practice. You've got to say this team has been putting in the work behind the scenes. They come out with a 2nd place, which is really good to see. And I like personally watching a team that is able to put in the work outside, behind the scenes, to make sure that they're ready for a tournament like this. And here they are, now performing to a very, very high standard.
good to see that step up, and you need to be making those steps. If you want to frag out with the best of them, of course, it's PMGC, it's time to do so. And this is only one of the groups that we've got on offer, right? So if we're seeing this sort of step up come through here, I'm really excited for the other groups as well that have still yet to come with green and yellow. Obviously, people are talking about Group Green as this massive powerhouse of a group that seems to be stacked full of some of the toughest challenges coming into this one.
For sure. I mean, when we get round to it, it'll be extremely enjoyable to watch, and I'll certainly be there watching from the audience as well to make sure I keep up to date with all these incredible teams that are coming in, these powerhouses. But there are just a lot of teams here currently in Group Red that can have some massive performances. You know, S2G is probably an outlier here in 12th place. Currently, this is a team that, you know, is in that position where they will get knocked out of PMGC if they keep playing to this performance. I mean, we were saying halfway through the day, was it, John? You know, they were 22 points and BTR was 21 points. They were similar positions, but this gung-ho playstyle where there is kind of almost a lack of regard for rotations or making sure that they are scouting enough has led to this type of performance. And that team, BTR, who was 21 points behind to their 22, now currently sat in 5th place with 44 points. It is strange how far S2G has fallen today.
I mean, you look at their spread as well, 17 eliminations, 8 placement points. On their 25 total, it really is indicative of exactly what you're talking about there, right? They are taking fights, they're losing a little bit of power, they're not carrying momentum through to those late games, but they are getting a couple of points every game. It might not be enough though. 12th place is that bubble, remember, where you are fully eliminated from PMGC entirely, so you do need to be putting up better numbers than that. They're sat right next to teams like Pubg Gaming, who 18 eliminations, 6 placement points coming through. It's not the best format for those players towards the bottom of the tables, but there is plenty of time to step up. That's what we're going to be looking forward to from S2G, hopefully from Box as well. Everybody else in that elimination bracket in the final Erangel of the day.
On match 6 here, so obviously we do have 3 more days to go after this one. But again, this is where we close things out for now. We'll return to join us again tomorrow after this match. But according to where after this one has finished, as I'm sure we'll have some exciting things to show for the end of the day. Before you guys can go chill out and do whatever it is you do other than watching PUBG Mobile. Maybe you want to go watch some more PUBG Mobile, so head all over to PUBG Mobile Esports YouTube channel and pick it all up there. At the moment, though, shooting range, we're heading down from Zaki to Nova Repnoya. This is, again, another pretty kind playing path. Most of these players are able to get to where they would like to go. LGD dropping out nice and early over towards Crate, South George. A little bit change of pace for them, but this will be fine. Again, coming off the back of the win, a lot of these teams do require a bit of momentum to get going. Mad Bulls, I didn't really like what happened last game. I felt like they took a route in towards the circle, which was going to be rife with engagements and aggressive nature, and also defended areas of the map. So I think for Mad Bulls, it might just be a case of rethinking about going back to that safe play style in the early game.
Lane path splitting out now. Circle drops to the mainland on the northwest side. Not going down south to military this time around again. Box dropping south on the yellows on the coast. And will be chilling for the time being. No one really too close by.
Not at the moment. For Box, this is one of the first times I'm able to drop it and not have too much harassment going on. Mad Bulls have pretty much had to change their drop spot every single time here on our angle. Constantly finding problems around the map. So this time around, they're a little bit further off towards our eastern side of Rozhok. Have a bit of a split going still, which is what they were heading for last game. Again, this could just be scouting early on in the tournament. Trying to figure out where exactly is free, where exactly is open, and then deciding on more of a permanent drop spot in the future. Again, we know that this team works very closely with their coach, as well as their analysts, to make sure that they're able to find the best position on the map and the best routes of ingress to get towards those positions that they're favorable to win from. So I think there's going to have to be a lot of rethinking going on at the moment. Nevertheless, 38 points are still decent, 7th place, very much safe right now. There is that drop off between 8th place and 9th place with LGD and 4 rivals dropping by 10 points. So there is this nice buffer going on between first and 8th place.
It's looking pretty calm between those areas. And there are those clear divisions starting themselves known. I think at the end of this game, we will have that clearer picture as every single game further. North contested for R8. LGD South George. In case I make it all the way up to Severny on a split. And they're going to be pretty happy about that as well, shifting the way it did.
Yeah, if you didn't quite catch the circle itself on the map, it did actually head up towards that northwest side. So Ruins, pretty much dead central. One could be heading for like an Everest ending here, potentially even that nasty island between Rozhok and the northern island. There you go, there's your answer. Only 15% of you got it right. Shameful. You guys need to be better on the ball.
S2G claiming PMGC 2021 as last year's PMGC.
I mean, to be fair, that
52%.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Oh, I didn't see what the option was there towards A. I thought it was 52%. I was like, hang on a minute, no.
That
Wait.
can't be right.
That's the number of people that chose that option. Okay.
10 chicken dinners over in PMGC 2021, which is quite a lot, to be honest. But yeah. So we're here in PMGC 2022, where they've got 0 chicken dinners.
It is very much a different story right now for S2G. Currently, no one really streaking out with the most chicken dinners. It's been evenly split, no repeat performances yet. Influenced Galaxy, Titan Gaming, Mad Bulls and LGD currently the chicken dinner eaters. We'll see who is able to claim that 6. Is it going to continue to disperse, play a little bit fair, or are we going to see a concentration just that a little bit more? At the moment, it seems like most of these teams are playing, especially the teams at the top, are playing consistently and making intelligent decisions rather than going for winning plays necessarily all the time. They're just going for those points.
Yeah, I mean, you play a LAN event like this, there is nerves that add into the equation as well. You comfort at home anymore. So for some players, it might just be nerves getting into this kind of environment. You know, it's the biggest tournament of the year as well. It might require a day for those nerves to calm, to settle, before you can start playing to your utmost capability. Again, that is one of those things that is not unlikely to happen, but it might not be the main reason. We'll see again tomorrow what happens, because I think if you can't quite get things right tomorrow, that's where you start to have to really worry quite a bit, because you only then have 2 days to rectify any mistakes that you might have made over those last 2 days. And with the way, you know, we're seeing the point split happen currently, it could be quite difficult to climb back up. Again, we do have a lot of leeway at the moment, with the first through third place getting an instant invite to those grand finals of PMGC, and then 4th through 11th getting through to the survival stage. There is still a lot of capability for so much movement towards the bottom of the table to sneak your way into that survival stage.
Definitely on the minds of everyone. Not currently in that top bracket. And Tech playing a little bit reserved here on the north side of Gatka. Not striking out just yet, not going for a bold push out to a separate compound, just keeping that info coming in. And you don't need to do anything other than that if you're in this central situation. There's a lot of the north side of the river, though, still in the circle, so a difficult shift could prove to be troublesome if you haven't got a north outpost.
I think for a lot of these teams, setting themselves up on the banks, on the coasts, well, on the bankings of this river throughout the north side of the map is most likely going to be the smartest maneuver, which is what you can see a lot of these teams doing, as you mentioned, John. You need to be able to cover all your bases, and if it does require you to move up towards that northern side, you better be ready to cross that bridge and not get taken down by some players that may be gatekeeping one of the Harry Potter towers on that northern edge, which is a little bit more difficult. R8, obviously, Team Queso, as well as Influence Chemin, all having a very good time of it at the moment if that should happen. Already raring to go on that northern side set up. For Rivals as well, and Rozhok have an easy enough rotation across, with Rozhok Hill providing a lot of information in the early game towards that northern side of the river anyway, so you should be able to identify a route that is easy enough to traverse.
Enigma Galaxy having a little bit of a standoff across the field with onlookers as well. And Tech Storm spotting out Aegon XI8 as well. Enigma Galaxy roll across, looking for a little opening. A play their own. Looks like they've found it. Titan a little bit too slow to be able to claim it themselves.
I mean, it's quite odd for Tech Storm as well, because this is a team that I feel like I've not seen a lot out of, yet they are currently in position to go through to towards the survival stage. Very central circle, I would say, including that water on the western side, heading down towards the south side of that northern island. So happy days where a lot of teams are already here. There is still a little bit of circle over towards that northern bridge, towards Rozhok side, but I think most teams will now start thinking about where can they get to in the circles. I mean, Ruins is an awkward position to play. Rozhok can still in this one with apartments about in too, but it's that open ground towards the eastern side of Ruins, which is going to be really difficult to play around.
Will not be easiest, but it could be the only option for a couple of teams. LGD sprayed on towards by Ayala from Team Queso there. The side of Ruins, just near that river crossing, the foothills of Everest. Team Queso trying to make their way across. They've already lost a player on that crossing. R8 are in the mix of it as well. Looks like they want to head further south, go deeper into Ruins.
This is fairly central of an area, is Ruins anyway, so getting here and being able to pick up some high ground would be nice for you, be able to hold out some of these teams towards that northwest edge too, John. Again, a lot of teams not really wanting to head towards that open ground towards Headshot Hills. Horrible positions to play in if you get caught out there with no recourse, no hope of escaping.
BTR crossing the river near Rozhok on the east side. We'll be moving in to influence Chemen's area. Not going to be stopped for it. No roadblock established. The position will be taken up on the east side of Rozhok. Teams really mostly moving south now off the back of this previous circle. Team Queso getting rolled down just a little bit. Bandar on the replay there. This is how Team Queso lost players earlier on their river crossing on that northwest side.
Right, well, you're not Tarzan, so you don't want to be swinging from the trees. But quickly gets back in the buggy and back on his way. Does take a bit of damage though. Team like S2G. Yeah, sorry, I apologise. Wrong name.
No, George. Is it?
Better movie.
I mean, they both do swing from vines.
Yeah, better movie though, really, let's be honest.
What, George of the Jungle?
Oh yeah, of course. S2G though, managed to make their way down from the north side of Ruins into a fairly decent spot. It is quite central though, and we know S2G, if they start breaking out, taking too many fights, it might be a case that this is a team that goes down rather early. In the meantime, Mad Bulls are able to get ahead of 4 Rivals this time with that circle heading down towards the southwest as well. That's going to be completely in the favor of Mad Bulls. This is towards Pachinki though, but with this circle over towards that western side, you're more than likely going to see just a few of these compounds from Pachinki still being in. I8 currently holding their position down towards that southwest side on the edges of the field towards those compounds. One player in UZM actually being able to hold one of those smaller compounds for himself to provide some information back to the rest of his team. Most likely will regroup later.
South push coming through from Enigma Galaxy. Played very, very stacked in the vehicle. Is this all of them at the same time? Moving in just the one vehicle. I don't like it. They're regrouping with Hamodi though. They do have that outpost. Okay. It seems they scouted that route. They saw R8 cross it. They knew it was a little bit safe, so maybe that was giving them the confidence to stack up in the car, but they make a dangerous push either way.
I think for a lot of these teams, they realize that they need to get towards a decent position with the circle. There's not a lot of real estate here, John, honestly. There's some of these compounds on the outer edges of Pmgc that are available to play, but again, the entirety of the western side, like right on the edge area, it is mostly fielded. You have these hills down towards the south end of Pmgc that you might be able to play in, but other than that, this is quite the awkward zone to be messing around with at the moment.
Spray over from R8. 4 rivals give them the broadside on the roll-up as well. Paburu caught unawares, certainly be aware of it now, goes down. Nick Galaxy here as well on the other side of the warehouse. Both teams are actually feeling the brunt of it. S2G getting lit up in the field as well. R8 somehow going to be the snake who slivers on through the net there, bringing down a hefty chunk of 4 rivals out in the open. Does S2G struggle on that north side too?
I mean, S2G lose a player as they try and provide an anchor point for the rest of the team in Silas, but luckily there is a little bit of redemption, a little bit of retaliation coming through from the rest of the team from Hamzy G. But Idam going up against LGD at the moment, currently just running them through.
Will not stop there. Suki doesn't even go down, and LGD are all 4 alive. They can start that heal fast and get on the bike. As Buradam fall on the southwest side, their last entry. One of the teams in the top bracket. Drawn short here, 15th place, no eliminations, no points.
Yeah, I mean, for LGD, though, this gives a lot of room to play with now. Box will be in front of them in a compound towards that southwestern edge. Absolutely fine, though. They can play around with this. It still works, and it gives them more time to actually get themselves into a position that they feel comfortable with. I think with these next couple of shifts now being less egregious and the shrinks becoming smaller and smaller, LGD could play this position for quite some time.
They have got that edge capability there. Nade over the top, over towards R8, sees them all go down. S2G picking up a whole host of points. A clutch on the nade. 3 eliminations now, and S2G wipe out quite a big area on the north side of the road for themselves.
Exactly, but that's their one fight. It's their one good fight, and then from here, how much more can they take? Because I think they do start to just break out a bit too much, John. You know, poking a little too many teams, rubbing them the wrong way, make a lot of enemies quite quickly, and then S2G tend to fall because of the amount of eyes staring at them. Titans, though, over towards that church position, over towards Pmgc, giving them a lot of oversight for the time being. Haven't lost too many members either. This is a team that would love to get back up towards one of those podium positions with Buradam out very early on in this game. This does give a great chance for Titans to now pick up some points and put themselves back in the big 3.
Leapfrog Buradam, who joined the bunch in the previous matches. The Infinity hunkering down at Pmgc right now, with Titans in that church position as their 4 guard. Bigatron, they're playing on the northwest side and potentially ready to find LGD rolling straight up onto position. Those smokes will let them know that there are players here leaving. LGD, though, they want to get more run down, so they'll be able to find it onto Luxia. Spray down from YZ, and they'll be able to get the flush fast as well. LGD, 5 eliminations. They do not want to let that last game momentum go. They're going to try and pick it back up onto Bigatron.
Real good catch on the timing for Bigatron there. They were just about to set out towards that northern side. Looks he's left behind all by his lonesome as the rest of the team gets in the vehicles to move out. Madball's lost a player in Monkey. Get dropped down towards the floor and lost another on top of that. So Madball's again into a position where they only have 2 players up. Make that just the 1 now.
Influence Chemin, bombardment. Finds the nades over onto Madball's position. They continue to go straight on through. Nades pouring on in. Madball's taken out of the mix. Actually, I think it was only left very, very split. Maybe looking for the res on the Madballs, but they are really out of the way on that eastern side. It looks like Influence Chemin want to sweep down, and actually they've pushed further down south as well towards Titans. Bit of a crash on the western side as MTEX push on in. 4 players alive for them. As Aegon XIA will look to hold off. Another actually backup crash comes in. 2 players on the inside, but Tarment handles 1. Not good for 2 though, however, will get flushed out. That's unfortunate. Would have to keep all 4 of your players alive there.
Literally one player on the bottom edge of your screen as well. Look to live this one out, but it's Box who've managed to get themselves into a fairly decent spot here. This player from I8 wants to just hold on.
Bye.
Very unlikely to keep going though. Mad Bulls will go down and they'll be finished their day at 38 points. IQ here lights the top floor up with the Molotovs. Now just smokes though and has to go for the full-on spray.
Finds one, drops out unscathed. Nice start to the engagement, spotted, repositions. First aid, only one in the back pocket. Needs to figure out if he wants to fight or try and heal. Tries the challenge, tries the spray, but it's not good. Box cut it down. And they will be able to get break back up as well. Staying alive as 4 in a building compound position. As LGD try and rock on up, but they're turned away swiftly.
I mean, CCC was looking for another rundown. Unfortunately, you can't quite fit the buggy through the door there. Now it's a breakout wide. CCC's also spotted by Tizzy from MTech.
Knock.
Should go down here. Is able to find that knock. Box also suffering on their side.
Nade actually out towards CCC. Up, Tizzy.
DRS.
There's no one there to spray out, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no.
They will have gone down already.
Infinity versus DRS, right?
Regrouping. Infinity in the meantime, challenging with DRS, moving through already, finding the first. Delta, the next to bear the brunt, with rules up top to lay down some covering, suppressive bombardment from those nades. Delta backs the nade incorrectly there, unfortunately. Strafes back into the rocket, doesn't quite find the arc on it. Don't quite land over towards the Infinity, but Mela going down, Logan and Uzi to challenge up the hill. They're getting continually pressured by this blue zone as well. Okay, so in the meantime,
pretty uneventful game for some of just falling with little to no eliminations found. Box have found that elimination with an insane compound. They're able to take off the hands of IA, albeit only being one player that was left inside that building. Played from this spot very strongly though, with it being extremely central and has eyes on towards a lot on the outside. In that final zone, Boxing should have a really good shout into this game. S2G out for eliminate influence. Chevin coming in from that northeastern side. Really, this lobby today.
Certainly have. Killer has one in hand towards Infinity. A little bit left. Will not find too much, but Infinity are making that push up the open hillside. Can Rules find those shots, find those angles? They're putting nades back the way of DRS in the meantime on the southeast side. Try and get a little bit of control over this hill that will give them a good launching point for the rest of the zone. But they have to dismount DRS if they want to be able to do it. Nuzi goes down first. That's a bad start for Influencers, for Infinity. Killer swings out with the Groza.
DRS looking more and more like hedgehogs without a shrapnel that's currently in them, but surviving nonetheless. Infinity now slow things down, start to crawl up. DRS still not out yet, not a single player down. Influence Chemin, 5 limbs for them found. LGD were trying to remove them from the equation. Titans to keep this one up, might be able to even try and leapfrog Nigma Galaxy in this game, but unlikely the position that Nigma Galaxy currently hold from those compounds. So Titans have to hold on for a little bit longer with some no cover to work with on these vehicles.
Lord backs off the shy. Titan. Zuxi flushed very fast by Lil Boy from Influence Chemin. That northern side. Next circle comes in and pushes everyone central. And again, it's Box really with the lion's share.
Yeah, and it was just central enough that it locks out both MTech's as well as Nigma Galaxy's compounds, which is great news for Box Gaming. You know, all things considered, this should be a Box Gaming win if they can translate off the back of this. They have a very good compound. So if Influence Chemin wants to be able to take this one home, it's going to be a case of playing from uphill, which is towards this northeastern side anyway, down towards Box Gaming. They're going to have to find some of these shots through the windows, open up with a couple of grenades maybe. They still have to deal with Nigma Galaxy as well as the final members from BTR, but it looks like they will just leave that alone for the time being, try and get a better position on the circle. You can see here, they're setting themselves up on that hillside with sightlines down towards Box Gaming's spot.
They can play on the north side of the road for a little bit longer, can Influence Chemin. Huge. There's a little bit of cover. They'll be able to find some power there to solidify their slot at the top at the end of day one. Will certainly be a good start for them. Box, though, not willing to let this one go. We've seen it from LGD before, getting a good game to careen up the tables. Box Gaming looking to repeat that and get out of that elimination bracket, that red zone at the bottom of the tables, which every single team here is absolutely dreading.
DRS, huge amount of damage, knocks down. The Infinity finally out. Probably one of the better games to date at an 8th place, which is sad to say, really. Titans, 5 eliminations found this game so far from a pretty rough spot, honestly, but you can see the red markers on their side. They are restabilizing, getting players back up on their feet, but it is difficult. And Enigma Galaxy is starting to move forward to send these grenades in. One
more and a longer arc there, over towards Titan. But will not be able to land it. Fortunately, Ralph on the roof will find Puncher. DRS still low, still flagging, but still alive. Enigma Galaxy picking up points wherever they can. They really do want to challenge Influence Gemini here. Box, the first roll on up. It's only the one, though. An MTech Storm, chicken on the outside, actually, suppressing the ridgeline effectively. Tizzy will fall, however. MTech Storm will fall. The boot. The Korean team is out of the final game of the day.
DRS, it's so difficult to move through this spot, and the Titans still have a lot more nades to work with. Delta tries to jump forward, but that'll be it, with the blue zone doing the rest of the work. But Titans now finding some big damage here in this game, some big points on their side as well, but it's 10 eliminations here found for Influence Chairman still at 4 players alive. Jem Foster behind, not likely to be able to do too much, looking to live here. BTR have done pretty damn good today, all things considered, for their recent performances to the last PMGC. I think this is a much better start than we're used to seeing from BTR. So I'm happy with what's going to happen, but Influence Chairman's absolutely put on a clinic today.
Package dropped just outside of the box compound. That is quite an effective weapon to hold off against those pushes, so if they can break out and grab that, it'd be good. But similarly, it's a little bit of cover for teams to roll up on if they want to go for that.
I mean, that's what it'll come down to in the end, is just a crash directly onto Box Gaming's position. Surprised Acer didn't get knocked there. He's lucky to get away with his life. On no HP, 0.5 HP bar, in fact.
Puncher shimmying there. Takes a bullet, maybe 2, but some covers from somewhere. Teak now making the same mad dash. Nazer actually finding Lord, trading it off from across the way. 3 teams in this fight. Freak rolls up to Teak, and it's not good. Will fall down to it, but it's traded off so many ways between 3 of these teams. Blank Box are just sitting there, watching all of this unfold and thinking, this is excellent news for us.
I mean, Box really hasn't done too much, though, in regards to the game. 11 eliminations so far for the guys from Influence Chemin. They're absolutely laughing all the way to the bank just in terms of elimination points alone. Box Gamer had to get that 1 single point from I8 as they entered, but I really don't know how many more points they've been able to accrue from this spot. Not good at all, and it could just be a case they come into the end game here feeling very cold, where if Influence Chemin's on an absolute hot streak, they go for this crash, and Box Gaming might not be able to hold them off.
There's the final player falling from Titans' third place coming on in. The top 3 teams are still in it right until the end, so even though Titans are there, they're not going to be able to catch up. Chemin doing so much work for Box with a big chance here to put up massive points, but they've only got 2 points so far, making it up into 2nd place. That's 14 points, a maximum possible coming in of 18 points on the game if they get all 4 of these eliminations now. Blank. It's good, but it's not massive.
I mean, for Influence Chemin, all they have to do is wait for Box Gaming to make a mistake here, because the circle's not going to close too quickly. So if Box Gaming, they need to hold on to and fight off against Influence Chemin on this push, but to do that they have to peak. And I think with how good Influence Chemin are feeling today, if you peak, you're going to get bullets sent back your way, and from 4 separate barrels. Next circle over towards that western side. You know what, Influence Chemin could even set themselves up on the other side of this fielded area and wait for Box to move. It looks like they're going to do that or just go for the crash. Okay.
Going straight on in, 2 players on the swerve, cut across the lines, and actually both of them survive, miraculously somehow staying up. But Little Boy does go down as Break pops the nade out the window, flushed out fast. Break traded off, Federal knocked in the meantime. 2 players fall, Law, Koyovsky trying to make that cross as well, hitting the deck on the outside. They might have been using this as a distraction to get the outside track on the next circle. But with Koyovsky falling, 3 players alive from Box. Can they get anything done? Law evens the numbers, but it's spotted. And that is Box holding it down for a chicken dinner at the end of the day. They jump on out of the red zone. No elimination bracket for them just yet, but there is still plenty more to come. But what a way to give yourself a little bit of momentum moving into day 2.
That right there is the box formation, but Influence Chairman, I think like they make a little bit of mistake there. Still a huge amount of eliminations. It's a little mistake, I'll put it that way. A tiny little flaw in the otherwise perfect system. I mean, they could have definitely sent out wide there with the use of smokes and waited for Box to have to leave that compound on the next circle. Again, you could get caught. I still think there was a chance there, and maybe they pulled the trigger a little bit too soon on that game. Either way, fantastic to identify the best position and then play out from it. I mean, they could have maybe gotten both those other teams, but that might have exposed they want to make sure they were up as 4 in the end game to protect themselves in that compound they held for so long.
I mean, it was a big pop-off deck team, right? And you said it before, they didn't really have a massive impact other than just holding players away from the building that they were occupying, really. 5 eliminations coming through from Trisme, 3 from Scry as well, but the damage numbers massive, but it was effective.
Yeah.
It was controlling that ground, as you say.
I still think today has just been one hell of a performance coming through from Influence Chemin. Look at the nade usage compared to anyone else in this game. 40 both for nades, 4 Molotovs. Incredible stuff coming out from these guys. 21 to 40 as well on the seconds from Influence Chemin. I mean, that final engagement did occur quickly. But what a day from Influence Chemin. A perfect combination of aggressive and pinpoint action from this team, opposed by the fact that they're quite patient and also very tactical in their movement. That is exactly what you want to see in a team at PMGC.
Influence Chairman doing Brazil proud. They have had a pop-off day, but Box Gaming take the final chicken dinner.
Well, a good closeout here for Box Gaming, able to get themselves the chicken dinners. However, they don't get the most points in the match. Influence Chemin with 13 eliminations and 12 points, putting up a big 25 to add to their tally to secure them a spot into first place, even more ahead of Enigma Galaxy. But let's dive into Box Gaming, because that was kind of like a wait and see, right? They just kind of got to the compound and just waited for any teams to come to them, or just waiting for the zones to finally squish in enough that they can just close out the game, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, the waiting game is definitely what they were playing there. Trust me, had, what, 0 damage taken? He just really did not put himself in harm's way that game, so they were just waiting. I mean, they fought for that spot, and as Blank mentioned during the cast, and I fully agree, They just knew the value of that position. If the odds on your favor and the circle centers up on that compound, what are you going to do? Fight through a field position to breach it? Not going to happen. Go downhill to breach it? Going to be also relatively hard to pull off. So they knew the value of that spot and played it down to a T.
Yeah, the space was very open. There was no need for them to peek. They just let all the other teams kind of destroy each other, kill each other, and then they managed to secure the chicken dinner towards the very end. So they played it by ear. And then looking towards the other teams as well, Enigma Galaxy, Titan Gaming, I love the fact that they're still staying in the top 4, in the top 5. They get to that top 3 spot and they are not letting go whatsoever.
Here's our players over the course of the day, not just the last match here. Federal coming in top with eliminations and damage. 20 limbs, 3,400 damage. Not a bad start here, but you can see coming in from Titans, TQ with 6 assists here as well, helping his teammate get that chicken dinner earlier on today.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Federal. You're talking about the MVP for the fall and spring split for Brazil for 2022. You also are talking about the MVP for the Americas Fall Championship, back-to-back championship as well when it comes to the Americas tournaments. So definitely not surprised with this incredible performance that we're seeing from him.
Well, here we go. Here's our overalls at the end of the first day. 97 points for Influence Gem, and that is a fantastic result here with 6 matches played. And only 1 chicken dinner, but look at those eliminations to go with it. Them on 43, Titan second at 42. Those are some big elim days.
I mean, there's only one word to describe Influence performance today, and it's a word we are very familiar with. It is consistency.
Big.
Start off the day. Oh, yeah, that too could have worked out,
Extreme.
but no, consistency. Extreme consistency. Chicken din on the first game, 4th place after that, 12th place, not too good, but then a 4th, a 3rd, and then the 2nd place right now. They've almost always been in that top 5 position. This team is looking great, and Sandstorm din on the first game, 4th place after that, 12th place, not too good, but then a 4th, a 3rd.
Those are some big elim days.
I mean, there's only one word to describe Influence performance today, and it's a word we are very familiar with. It is consistency. Start off the day. Oh, yeah, that too could have worked out, but no, consistency. Extreme consistency. Chicken din on the first game, 4th place after that, 12th place, not too good, but then a 4th, a 3rd, and then the 2nd place right now. They've almost always been in that top 5 position. This team is looking great, and Sandstorm had my questions as how they could perform in a PMGC ecosystem, but I mean, so far I think they shut down a lot of the doubts in the world because they came out swinging in this game.
Yeah, they really did, and this is one of the reasons why I decided to pick them as, well, one of the contenders for top 3 going into week 1 of the tournament. I saw how strong they were in the Americas tournament. I saw how strong they were when it came to PNPL Brazil Season 1 and Season 2. The synergies there, the consistency's there, and my God, the strength is there.
Well, looking at our kind of representatives, Max, we received Mad Bulls currently going to be going to the survival stage if we stopped right now. But this is the first time I feel like we've seen Mad Bulls properly challenged, not able to rotate the zones quickly enough to get towards the center or have a clean path. This is a Mad Bulls who have finally been pushed a little bit more difficultly, if that makes any sense, but pushed a little bit harder than we've seen in the past. And I find that kind of interesting because I want to see what kind of team they become. Can they adapt to this now going into day 2 and improve?
I have the impression that when you're looking back on PMPL Western Europe and the European Championships, they were getting positions that were just not contested and they would just have free range to do pretty much anything they wanted, but here